All right, good morning, folks, and happy Monday. Let's do a quick sound check. Lorna, Russ, Mitch, Groovy Jeff. Good morning, good morning. All right, y'all, we'll jump in here. Hope everyone had a great weekend. And I've got to hit the bank in about 15 minutes, so I shall keep it short and sweet. And then I'll be back in the essentials room. Let me check the calendar. But I shall be back. I am back here in essentials at 10:30 a.m. Central. But a quick look at the board here. We saw a pretty good shuffling of the leadership last week. For the indices, the IWM and the Dow Jones, they are now the top two. IWM a score of 56, the Dow a score of 54. The S&P's get a 54, and the QQQ drops to fifth place of the 32 out of 60. On the sectors, financials, gold, healthcare, real estate, biotech, and XLY, they are top dogs. Bitcoin is the weakest, negative 17. XLC drops to a 17. And then the king of the hill, XLK down to a 40, and the SMH down to a 41. All right, so the theme of the week last week was pretty good rotation. Now, here's the thing to keep in mind. We did see some rotation out of big tech, big semis, XLC, out of recent leadership into a few of the laggards. Right, the laggards being Dow Jones, the small caps, etc. As far as the recent leadership, nothing's changed. For the S&Ps here, we've got a perfect score of 12. Buy signals on the weekly down to the 30-minute. Again, nothing really changes. Right? A little rotation for sure. The S&Ps here are still both very bullish and a little overbought. QQQ. Now, QQQ drops down to fifth place. But again, nothing's really changed. The monthly, the weekly, and the daily scores, they've all got the perfect 12. All right, structure is still bullish. Trend is still bullish. We still have bigger time frame buy signals. Yeah, lower time frames, a little quiet. 4-hour chart goes neutral. Got a little 5-minute sell signal. The point I'm trying to make is we can rotate, but as long as the S&Ps, the QQQ, XLK, and the SMH, if they can trade above their daily 21, and we've still got the perfect score, right? Momentum is bullish, structure, buy signal. If that's the case, anywhere above that daily 21 EMA, I still want to find a spot to buy recent leadership. I'll look for a trade in Dow, right? I'll look at healthcare, I'll look at the banks, big tech, big semis. If they're above that daily 21 and they've still got the daily buy signal, I don't think too much has changed, and I want to find a spot to buy them. Now, the exception to the rule would be Meta and Netflix. They got spanked pretty good last week. They are no longer above their 21 with a perfect score or a buy signal. All right, Meta drops to a 5 out of 12. And in the matter of a week, a pretty good fall from grace. Had a nice move going off the daily squeeze. And then I thought a lot of potential there from the weekly squeeze. But Meta got spanked, no longer above that 21, and then Netflix. And it looks like Netflix will gap down another $3 or $4. But very much like Meta, took a pretty good thumping last week. Broke our 21, no more buy signal. The score drops to a 3 out of 12. Wouldn't be in a big rush to buy Meta, and I wouldn't be in a big rush to buy Netflix. Then look at a name like Amazon. And yeah, it pulled back last week, but did anything change? No, nothing really changes. We are above the 21. We've got a buy signal. We've got the perfect score of 12. And better yet, we've still got this big weekly squeeze. And we got the white dot here for the A+ setup. No guarantee that it has to fire. When and if it does fire, I think Amazon sees 210. So I love that weekly squeeze. And then my daily chart holds up much better than a Netflix or a Meta. Doesn't mean I blindly jump in here and buy Amazon, but anywhere above 193 ish. The next good looking 15-minute, 30-minute, 1 hour squeeze, that might make for the entry. Or Apple. Apple remains beastly, very, very strong. Microsoft, little pullback last week, but it's a normal pullback. Right? The ebbs and the flows of the market. We make a move away from the 21 EMA, and at some point we got to make a move back to that 21. Microsoft holds up pretty good. Google, now Google might break here. So again, I'm not going to rush into an entry, but I've got to like the pullback. The monthly, the weekly, the daily, right? Everything bigger picture is still very bullish. A little tough to want to buy it up here at 190. A little easier to want to buy it down here at 185-ish. If they can hold that 21, the next 15, 30-minute, 1 hour squeeze, that might be the spot. And then we have, who else we got here? Tesla, of course. Tesla's gapping up to 257. On a name like Tesla, where it's a bit more of a runaway train, I think you make it a lower time frame thing. I don't have a fresh daily squeeze. We're nowhere near my 21 EMA, but the thing is super strong. So 5-minute, 15-minute, 30-minute, lower time frame squeeze. If they want to take Tesla from 250 to 300, there's a pretty good chance along the way. A lot of your lower time frame squeezes, they should fire in the direction of that trend. So Tesla looks pretty good. Google holds up. Microsoft and Apple hold up. Still like Amazon. Meta and Netflix, they're both a little rough around the edges. And then a quick look here at the semis. SMH, I think still rock solid. That could change, right? They could pull it back. Price could take out the 21 EMA. We could get more sell signals. For now, I think still pretty bullish here. NVIDIA, a little more neutral. The one that I do like here in the semis would be SMCI. A lot of squeeze action here for SMCI. Weekly, 3-day, 2-day, daily, 2-hour, 1 hour, 15-minute squeeze. And the 1 hour, 2 hour, and the daily, they've all got the white dot. White dot on the 1 hour, white dot on the 2, and then again here on the daily squeeze. The way that it moves, it's a little finicky. She can be a little bit spastic. Right, you're up 3%, and then you go grab a cup of coffee, and now you're only up 1%. And then you're down 2, you're up 1, you're up 4. A lot of back and forth on an intraday basis. But I've got to like that daily squeeze. We've got the 950 1000 call debit spread for August. If they can take that through 950, I think you're playing for a push towards 1K or higher. And we got a little gap up coming this morning. So I like SMCI. We are long that one. And then another one from the scans last week in the semis. LRCX. Again, the ebbs and the flows. Beautiful daily squeeze back here at the 21. Squeeze fires, pulls back to the 21. The buyers come in, you get continuation of the trend. And again, they pull it back here to the buy zone. It's not an A+ setup. All right, we don't have the white dot for now. But I would call that an A-. Not A+, but an A-. Daily squeeze and a daily buy signal. Now, I don't think it'll be an SMCI or an LRCX kind of thing. I think it'll be much more QQQ SMH. Where I think SMCI and LRCX could work would be ideally if this week We see the SMH try to head back up here towards those previous highs. LRCX, SMCI, and then Broadcom here. It holds up really well. I'm just missing a setup. White dot squeeze on the daily, white dot squeeze on a 4 hour. Hell, if I could get it on a 5 minute, might be worth a shot. So as far as what's been leadership, big tech, big semis, XLC, I like LRCX, I like SMCI, Amazon, Microsoft, Google, and then Tesla's Tesla. Meta and Netflix would not be in a big rush to buy either for now. All right, then we go look at a few of the rotation ideas. Now, sad to say, I didn't buy it, but I think one of the cleanest setups last week was probably the Dow. The old Dowski. A plus squeeze on the 2 day, the white dot squeeze on the daily, a white dot squeeze on the 4 hour, a white dot squeeze back here on the 2 hour, and then one on the 1 hour. A lot of compression, right? Good momentum, good structure, good trend. One after the other, they all fire. Off goes a 1 hour squeeze, then goes a 2 hour, then goes a 4 hour. Again, very much a rotation idea. And what I mean by that is if the big money wakes up today and they sell Dow Jones, they sell the small caps, they're dumping healthcare, they're dumping financials, and they're just back to buying big tech, big semis hand over fist. If the rotation comes to a screeching halt, then the Dow idea, the banks, etc., they might not work. These are not the most heavily weighted parts of the market. But hey, if we can get a little more rotation, and even not just rotation, if the breadth can improve, right, they can take tech higher, they can take the semis higher. But if we can get better participation, then I think the Dow Jones could work nicely. You've got a big level here at 400. I would like to think one or two closes above 400. Get that above the previous highs. 2 day squeeze looks really good here. If anything, for a quick trip towards 405, 406. And then we also got the squeeze here on the weekly. Not the white dot squeeze, but we are getting the slingshot. If they can take out the highs, if they can get weekly momentum back above zero, Dow Jones could see 412 to 415. So really good setup. Big breakout level, big 2 day squeeze. Selfishly, I would like to buy it just a little bit lower. But I do like the Dow. And then financials, XLF. Daily squeeze just fired, and now we have a squeeze on our 2 day, 3 day, and weekly timeframes. Again, $1 million question. Does rotation continue? And I don't know the exact answer, but the weekly squeeze here for XLF, it's pretty similar to the weekly squeeze for Dow Jones. Good trend, good structure. If they can get momentum back above zero and then take out the previous highs, it's got runaway train potential. What does make the banks a little tricky today, earnings. We had JPM on Friday. Holds up pretty good for the most part. And then I want to say that BAC was this morning, but don't quote me on that. Nah, BAC's tomorrow. Goldman is today. And it looks like we're gapping up a healthy 3 or 4 buckaroos. Getting long a group right before earnings, in my book at least, not always ideal, but it does look solid enough. Morgan Stanley, right, that broke out. Citigroup, a little back and forth here for Citigroup. And then I think Chuck Schwab few squeezes here for Chuck Schwab. And then the last spot I'll show you would be healthcare, XLV. And we've got a weekly, a 2-day, and a daily squeeze. White dot on the daily squeeze, white dot on the 2-day squeeze, and a picture perfect weekly squeeze. Trend, structure, momentum. They take out 150. I think that could move nicely. Funny thing about healthcare, I don't love too many of the setups in this space. Like a Johnson & Johnson, for example. A 1 out of 12. Yeah, not my favorite. A UNH. Earnings this week. Fighting the good fight at the 200 SMA. They're not the cleanest. One that I do like would be Lilly on the 15-minute. And as is tradition, looks like Lilly's going to gap up to about 960. If you got Lilly, you're in good shape. If you don't have Lilly, the ship might have sailed. But all right, y'all, I've got to hit the road here, so apologies for keeping it short and sweet. I'll be back at 10:30 a.m. Central here in the Essentials room. But the million-dollar question for the week ahead, does rotation continue? If it does continue, how does recent leadership hold up? Is it a situation where they're buying Dow, they're buying small caps, they're buying the financials, and they're just selling the crap out of tech, semis, etc.? Or is it a bit more, they're rotating, they're buying Dow, they're buying the laggards, but recent leadership, big tech, etc., they're not so much getting sold off. They're more so taking a breather. Right? They're above their 21 EMAs. They've got buy signals. They've got the perfect score. If that's the situation, play for the rotation ideas, but also look for the next good entry on an NVIDIA, an Apple, a Google, etc., etc. But all right, y'all, I am out of here. I've got to run to the bank, all kinds of fun stuff. But I will see you in about 2.5 hours. And when I jump back on the mic, we will check out some SMCI, see how that trade's going. And we'll fire up a few scans. We shall look for a few trades. All right, y'all, let's make it a good week. Have your game plan in place. Stick to it. And I'll catch y'all very soon. Thank you again for the time and the effort. Adios.